was just having a look at Ethereum here today, so we're just looking at ETHUSD. I haven't done an analysis on this yet, I think, but it looks similar to the Bitcoin graph or chart. So we're on the monthly frame right now. There was the same run basically, but it's not as much as a breakout as Bitcoin. It wasn't as volatile to the top either, but there actually might be another ticker that shows more on it. Yeah, so this ticker's a bit better. It's the Kraken one. Not all of the cryptos have a Kraken data, but you can see the last run was more volatile. This time Bitcoin was pretty much getting there, but here in our run currently we haven't had any volatility like the last run. We're getting there, but not that volatile. For us to really push up there now, we'd have to push up way past 25, 26, 27 up there, maybe even 28 for that to be that volatile. So it's not as volatile as the Bitcoin run. Same thing, we're at pretty much, otherwise it's really high. You can see the EMA 9's way down there. Where is it? It's maybe at 1,000 or just under 1,000. The center line's around 600 something, 640, 630. We haven't had any red months. This is just shot straight up. The MACDs have just shot straight up. Eventually, obviously, we'll have red months, but we haven't had any currently. Is there divergence here? Yeah, there is. So here you can see the peak went down on the monthly chart, and you can see here the peak went up. So there is monthly divergence. Is there anything on the MACDs for monthly? Not really, except just that peak to that peak, but that's not really divergence to negative infinity or bearish divergence. Yeah, so we'll go to the weekly chart now. So you can see the volume. There's more monthly volume than there was last time, but you can see there's a lot of buying volume there. That's where you want to buy, right? So whoever's buying there was super smart when it bottomed out. It's interesting actually. Probably you could see it better on the weekly, so we'll go to the weekly. So yeah, if you didn't watch the video, there was a flash crash on ETHUSD, on Ethereum USD, and it only shows, if you're on TradingView, it only shows on the Kraken chart. It's like hidden on all the other ones. I don't know if they did that on purpose, if they wanted to hide it, if they wanted to, hide it from the investors so that, they wouldn't be scared to invest. But Kraken didn't hide it, or they can't hide it. And it's weird because I can't find some of the crashes on Bitcoin either. There was a crash on Bitcoin today, by the way. It crashed from like 61, almost 61 something, maybe 62 almost, and it flew down to 58 point 3 or 4, and that all happened in half an hour. So it pretty much crashed. There was some huge candles on there. Have a look at it. But it's kind of went back up after, so we'll do a video on that later. But you can see there was actually some cross down momentum here when it did crash, and there's some bearish momentum here on the weekly. So you can see those bars starting to go pink, wanting to turn red, going red basically. There is some, is there divergence here? No, there's not. Yeah, there's divergence on the RSI, right? Price went up here and here. Momentum shot down. You can see that, or from here to there, same thing, whatever. It shot down So bearish divergence. That's pretty easy to see. Pretty volatile here. Here is starting to flatten out, so you could see that come back down. Usually after crashes, they do continue to fall just generally. I'm not saying that it will happen. Obviously, it's being pumped right now, so you have the stimulus checks coming out. Whether that a lot of people have already bought or not. There was actually some bad news though. India, they like banned crypto, or like they banned mining. They banned I think use of cryptocurrencies and mining, or they're like trying to ban it. They put a law out or something, so have a look in the headlines for that. We'll just have a look at like when it ran last time, a couple years ago. So spiked up there, came down to that center line, right? Spiked up, came down to EMA 9, went down to the center line, came up, broke out one more time, up, 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 touched the top bounds, then closed below, started to enter back into these bounds. We closed by underneath that EMA 9 and just continued down for a long time. There was a trading opportunity right there. Hard to spot it exactly, but I guess this RSI did dip down. Other than that, that was like the exact bottom. But it did trade sideways for a very long time. So there was like a trading opportunity here, the exact bottom, if you could have grabbed that. So you would have made like maybe 5 or 6 times, something like that. And then it would have bottomed out for a while, like from there to there. It's a long time, it's like 3 years. And then we broke out. And so far we've come, sorry, I'll zoom in. So we came up, we crossed up, touched back down, crossed up, up, up. Nothing too volatile until here, as we said. Then we came down, touched the EMA 9. Now we're kind of flattening out. So it doesn't look too good for ETH based on this dip here. That's interesting though. That's the one thing that differentiates Bitcoin to Ethereum, is that there was that spike, and it's almost like they tried to hide it in the news, right? It was really hidden. It's hard to find the data for it, and there's not too many headlines on it. It's like they didn't want people to get scared, like people who are investing or analysts who are trying to pump crypto, they're trying to pump ETH, they're trying to pump BTC, whatever, trying to pump Dodge. They didn't really mention the flash crash in the news. They almost tried to hide it from the investors. So I noticed that. If you noticed that, that's cool. That's kind of interesting actually. But on the USD JPY crash, like a couple of years ago, same time when Bitcoin was taking off, whatever, at the end of the year of 2018, it did crash and it did kind of follow that cycle for a long time. So could we be heading back this way? You know, there is some momentum starting. This wants to cross back down. Actually, that's right now. That's this week, but last week it tried to do that too. So it's interesting. It's all same thing on the Bitcoin chart. The weekly's been trying to cross down for a couple weeks now, and you can see we have some bearish divergence. This is another type of divergence for MACD, so I'll just point it out. So the signal line, or whatever, the top line, goes up when the histogram goes down. That's more of an intermediate kind of divergence, but you could see it right there. It's actually kind of cool because I didn't really notice it till I looked at it right now. But same thing here. The signal lines went up, right? Kind of you're supposed to happen at the same time. Like, this example is pretty good. Like, it's actually really good. It's a perfect example of bearish divergence. It matches in line with the bar too. So this one's kind of different because the setting's different. But as you can see, before that crash happened, which is also kind of interesting, it had that peak there. And let's let's just take that point or that point, whatever. Let's take that point. It went down. If you actually look at these numbers, it goes down. At least from there too. But you can see then that really shot down. Then we got that really big deep drop. And then now this bar, this pink bar, it's inflecting down to negative infinity. So what can happen? Well, this is trying to cross down. It looks like, it might get rejected. But who knows? It looks like it's really trying to come down, like you can see from this bearish divergence here. So that's just from a weekly perspective. How far to that EMA 9? It's at like 1600 flat. Center line's at like 1249 or something. So we'll just have a look from a day trading perspective. There is some bearish divergence, same thing. Well, it's just bearish momentum. There was some divergence here, you can see shot up, and then we started to have some consolidation down. Not as distinct as the other one, but there is some divergence here too. You can see price goes up, momentum comes down. Same thing here, momentum came down, price went up. That's before the crash, right? But that was a really deep crash. So that all happened in 5 minutes or something. It hasn't happened to Bitcoin yet too, which is interesting. I thought it was going to happen today during that little crash we had, or like whatever, minor crash. It wasn't really a flash crash, it kind of just started to dump, but not as fast as that one. These look like they want to cross down. It's not as far away as the Bitcoin chart. Like right now, the Bitcoin chart, the daily, the center line's here and the price is like up here. So there's some room for it to come down on the Bitcoin chart. But there is some little bit of momentum, bearish momentum starting on the daily. Could take a while, as we said, as the weekly, these are weekly bars, so it could take a while, right? That could be like another month or two, or who knows. So yeah, that's just analysis on Ethereum. A little bit of talk about Bitcoin. It's still being pumped right now. We're kind of, at that center zone. Like it's kind of flat right now. It doesn't really know what it wants to do short term. Still kind of figuring it out, right? Kind of getting close to that center line on the daily. And then weekly, we've gone over it. Monthly, obviously we've gone over it. 2 hour, it's pretty center lines. Doesn't really know what to do right at this exact moment. So I'll post this video soon. We do have some bearish momentum, maybe starting. So that just left, that orange line just left overbought to the downside, looks like. So we could have some downwards momentum. 30s crossing over, 30 minute. Coming down, might break that center line. RSI is kind of neutral. Starting to cross down on that 15. Pretty flat, as we said. Pretty neutral. Just crossing below down. Maybe it's trying to break that for a little small scalp here. Trying to break that center line exactly to the downside as we speak, which is cool. 5 starting to drop a little bit. Broke that center line. Could see some bearish momentum. We'll just have a look at the Bitcoin here since we're at just having a look. Yeah, so it's starting to go back down a little bit. Kind of flat on that 5, 15. Maybe some bearish momentum here starting. RSI is not overbought, sorry, yet. But here's the crash right there. It's pretty equal to that spike, maybe even a bit more or less, that we had when this thing took off on the weekend. So it's almost the same size, right? Or it is the same size exactly. So it's pretty interesting. The bulls and bears are fighting here. Some bearish momentum here as we speak. bearish momentum, just crossed from overbought to neutral. RSI is kind of neutral though on the shorter time frames. Got some bearish momentum here. That's just starting to turn over, but it looks like it was trying to turn over earlier, so hard to say. You know, we're real close here to the center line, right? Pretty neutral right now from a day trading perspective. London's still waking up. This is starting to cross up, but it may go red. This is just trying to push down from overbought. It's trying to push down to neutral and to oversold. RSI is pretty neutral right now though. 4 hour. It was high. We did have that divergence on the weekend. I'll point it out actually I'll just do it right now. It was kind of easy to spot. I actually called it on chat at the exact same time. But yeah, it's like right there. Divergence here. And then this was pretty easy. You can see that divergence. It was real easy right there. It just topped out. Kind of what's happening like on the bigger time frames, right? But who knows, this is being pumped. Starting to drop a little bit. So if it breaks below there, then we're talking about what can happen next, right? Because this took off. Where did it take off? It took off around 57. So if we close below 57, that would be probably more of a bearish momentum starting. We do have that top on the daily, but it did break out a little bit from 58, went to 61, then it shot down to 58 earlier. So it's fighting. So yeah, I'll do another video on Bitcoin, so I just thought I'd touch on it. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.